look who's here to join us. Might be a swan song. He's Rick Stroud, covers the Buccaneers for the Tampa Bay Times, host of Sports Day Tampa Bay podcast. Oh, the memories, Rick. Where did they go? Where did they? Okay. Are you 100% certain Tom Brady is 100% retiring?
Oh, you believed him, huh? Are you the guy? Yeah. Call me in 39 days, Dan. It's like last year, February 1st again.
Yep.
Started free. No, I actually do believe him this time because I want to believe him. I so badly want to believe him in the sense that we've been through this, right? And I think if you were around as I was, as the people that cover this team or people who coached this team last year, it took an enormous toll on him mentally, right? Like this was not Tom Brady. This was not how Tom Brady prepares. He had become a single dad when he was with his children. The team wasn't very good in the areas it needed to be for him. And I just think that, if he was going to play again, Dan, the best chance for him was to play back in Tampa. I mean, it sounds great. Go out to California or Las Vegas or something like that. It just wasn't going to work for his personal life. And it does work here in Tampa for him from a logistics standpoint. He had done it. So, if you look at where they're at as a football team, $55 million over the cap, a lot of free agents, all of that. I just don't think he felt confident that it would go much better. And I think he's at peace with his decision.
How big of a surprise was this locally in Tampa?
I think the timing of it was a surprise. I mean, he had said he was going to take more time and actually did it on the very anniversary of his last retirement. They got eliminated a week earlier, so maybe that had something to do with it. Look, people I talked to that are close to him really thought that it was likely he would play again. He absolutely can play. I mean, the guy threw for 15,000 yards in the last 3 years. It's incredible when you think back. I don't think we really give enough credit to what he did coming in here during a pandemic, leaving New England the way he did, not knowing his teammates, getting tossed out of houses that he thought was Byron Leftwich's and parks and working out with guys, and then winning a Super Bowl the first year was just incredible. So they've had an unbelievable run, 3 playoff appearances, 2 division titles, more success in 3 years than they'd had probably in the previous, 25. So, I really think that we'll look back on this as a good run.
How did they pull this off? How did Bruce Arians and Brady pull this off to begin with, where they surprised everybody? It was like, oh, he's not leaving New England. Wait, he's leaving New England. Wait, he's going to Tampa Bay. And It pretty much was almost like LeBron going to the Miami Heat. We didn't expect it, and then it happened. How did they pull off the surprise?
Well, I think that Tom had some studying that he had done himself, and I think staying on the East Coast of the United States was important. He has a son in New York. Obviously, he was married at that time. He wanted to go someplace warm. That was clear. And really, if you looked at the football team, they were ready to win a Super Bowl. I mean, they had a lot of talent, and at that time, younger talent. Right, 3 years ago, the offensive line had been together for a number of years. And no matter what the theories are about Bruce Arians and why he did or didn't coach this season, if Brady had something to do with that. Bruce Arians had coached Peyton Manning. And Tom likes to be pushed. Bruce held him accountable, maybe a little more than he was used to. But I just think it was a refreshing change for him. He was able to get out from underneath that Belichickian sort of wall and find his voice and have some fun. He got Gronk to come with him. The Brett guys were together again. I mean, it was an unbelievable time, and he really enjoyed it. And somehow they managed to put together a really good football team. They were 7-5 and went on a run and won 8 in a row. So it wasn't like it was all smooth in the beginning. But what a magical time for him and for Bucs fans.
He said something in his latest retirement video speech where he said he wouldn't change anything. And it kind of stood out because of what happened this last year. And I wonder if he needed to go through this to get to this point. That he went through an awful lot off the field. He went through an awful lot on the field. But it's almost like he needed something to say, okay, move on with your life. Now you can walk away from the game. Do you buy into that?
I think there's something to that. I think we all evolve even at his age. I mean, he's as competitive as hell. And the thing about it is that he can still play and he knows it, right? But I think when you go through what he went through in terms of the divorce, and look, people tell me, second day of training camp, he gets the word that this is happening. Like not, and I, who knows what goes on in anybody's marriage, but like he wasn't planning on this. This wasn't something that he thought was going to happen when he went to training camp. So to have to go through a season, he also knew this, Dan, that he can no longer prepare the way he prepares, right? The priorities now become something different when he's by himself with his children. It's not like, hey, you're coming home every night, you see him, you run upstairs and hit the projector. Projector, listen to me. It's a, not that anymore, obviously, but I think that his way of preparing wasn't sustainable anymore. I just don't think he could put into it all that he requires to do to be Tom Brady. Now he's still the most prepared guy if he falls out of bed and plays because of his 23 years. But I think he found it almost impossible to prepare the way he wanted to.
If Tampa brings in Aaron Rodgers, we'll have you back on. But if you're gonna
listen, if this is it, and Sally Field, Steel Magnolias, Norma Ray, 80 for Brady. Are you kidding me? Like, hey, I'm honored. I'm honored to be on the show this day. It's amazing.
By the way, how are your Buccaneers moving forward? You mentioned the salary cap hell. Let's start at quarterback. Who's quarterbacking the Buccaneers next year?
Right now, the only guy they have, is Kyle Trask. So we start there. But listen, it depends on who they hire as an offensive coordinator. If Todd Monken were to take this job, I'm not sure why he would want it, but if he took this job and came back, he was in Cleveland 1 year with Baker Mayfield, loves the guy, absolutely loves the guy. So there's some free agents out there they have to bring in. But right now, they'll offer Blaine Gabbert a chance to come back on a 1 year deal. That was the plan if Tom didn't come back. And so it's going to be Kyle and I would suspect Blaine, and maybe they'll go after a free agent or something.
So you think Baker Mayfield could be, or at least there's the possibility Baker Mayfield could be the next quarterback of the Buccaneers?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I think a lot of it depends on who the coordinator is. But listen, they were looking last year for quarterbacks when they didn't think when Brady was out for those 40 days. Baker was on that list. And people say, well, what about Jimmy Garoppolo? The only thing about Garoppolo is not a deep ball thrower. Now, they have Todd Bowles, and they couldn't run it worth a damn last year. So if you're going to bring in Jimmy Garoppolo, you better find a way to run the football, and that's what they couldn't do. So anything's possible right now, but the salary cap is real. It's a problem, and I think you're limited as to the kind of quarterback you can pay. But yeah, absolutely, I think Baker would be in the crosshairs there.
Well, hopefully this isn't goodbye, but until the next time, Rick. But thank you again. You were always available. You always had great insights, and we appreciate it. It's not a funeral, but I'm just, it feels more like a wake, maybe. Just.
I understand. I wish I had the $375 million golden parachute that Tom does, but I'm available anytime, man.
Thank you, Rick.
Thanks.
That's Rick Stroud, covers the Buccaneers, Tampa Bay Times, and host of Sports Day Tampa Bay podcast.